So the first thing we've got here is that Comer demands Biden correct his dishonest denial that the family got 1 mil from Hunter's China deal. Now it looks like this was some type of business deal and everything like that. So let's see what's going on with this, people.
Helping you vending
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. You
is
know, there's
better
always
than
an
a
ad.
franchise. Here are 10.
Let's bring in House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. Chairman, thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, America wants to know who that fourth unknown person is. Can you add to what we've learned so far? Who is it?
Well, all the bank wire said was Biden. It didn't have a first name. And I've been involved in banking for a long time, and I've never seen a wire that just had one name on it. So
See,
there's some serious
that's pretty
questions
interesting.
here.
That's an interesting point they're making. You know, he's saying off the rip, he's saying as a banker, this seems a little strange to me. So you guys already know if it's a legal deal, you probably won't have much to hide. You'll probably put your first name on it. Like I don't think any of us ever go to the bank and when we write a check or anything like that, we just use our first name, especially $1 million check. You know, just that's interesting.
With respect to the wires, this LLC had had several bank wires over a decade. Remember, we got a decade's worth of bank records. And like any other bank wire, it would have a name, address, and a date, and then a memo. And it would say what the bank wire was for, but they left them blank on the Bidens. Now, the White House said today that that was seed capital for an investment. I don't think that's an accurate statement. We haven't found where anything happened other than this Chinese energy firm that was directly tied to the CCP made direct payments to the Biden family. We haven't seen anything where they took the money and then invested it in any business. We can't find any business.
Congressman, you
See, that's interesting too. Like, think about it, guys. Like, okay, so like we like to do here with companies, we say, okay, like let's take Google for instance. Something bad happens with Google, like when they came out with Bard AI and it couldn't beat Microsoft. Okay, red flag. Let's say a higher up gets fired for something, multiple red flags. Then that's when we really start to think about a company being on the downfall. One thing of bad news isn't really too much to worry about. When you hear two bad things, it's like, okay. When you hear three, then you know, okay, maybe I want to sell my shares. Maybe I want to, get in at a lower price. Or maybe this company is starting to have some downward trajectory. And what he's saying here does sound a little, strange. If there was an $1 million wire transfer, you would think that it would be very easy to dispel why this transfer happened. Why was Hunter Biden getting this? I don't really understand why people would be giving, what I'm saying, Hunter Biden, unless I'm getting him confused with the one that does, that be in the hotels with the drugs and stuff. But I think that's Hunter Biden. I'm not sure, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong on that and everything like that. But even still, it seems pretty crazy that this would be such a large deal, 1 million, and it wouldn't, there would be no information within the transfer, especially considering your dad's the president. People are going to ask these questions, and the money is from China. If you already know with the type of tense relations that we have with China, with the whole Russian-Ukraine situation, with the whole China possibly, EMPing or destroying technology in Taiwan, with the balloon that was, spying on Americans and everything like that. You would think if you were taking a wire fraud through a Chinese bank, it just doesn't sound like something that would really make sense when your dad is the president. It's just at this point, I'm sure Biden, he's probably too asleep to really worry about it. But at this point, I'm sure Biden's like, God dang, like why can't my kids like just relax? Like, but hopefully we can learn a little bit more about this.
you alluded to seed money there. That was in a statement from a Hunter Biden spokesperson. This is call for number 4, if we can bring it up. It says, Hunter Biden, a private citizen with every right to pursue his own business endeavors, joined several business partners in seeking a joint venture with a legitimate energy company in China. Hunter received his portion of good faith seed funds, which he shared with his uncle, James Biden and Hallie Biden, and nobody else. You want to bring the man who was the go-between on this money, Rob Walker, before
Also, this could be one thing that they could try to pull, it was a business deal. It was involving 10, 15 different people. It's not necessarily Biden specifically. I could see them try to, play that game and everything like that, which is fine, which is fine. We're not really attacking Hunter Biden here. We're just calling out this just seems a little strange, This seems a little strange, and yeah. And I think the real question comes down to, if your country is at odds with another country, is it still fine for you to really do business with that country? You know what I'm saying? Especially if your dad is a politician, especially on top of that, if your dad is the leader of our executive power.
For your committee, what are you hoping to learn from him?
Well, we want to know exactly what the money was for. You heard that statement. We don't find any evidence where they ever took the money and invested it in a company. People always talk about, well, Hunter Biden had legitimate business dealings with China. What were those business dealings?
He said, where were they? He said, where?
To shell companies then funneled back into the Biden family. We don't see any business. And what we've been told from people that were in this circle is that the business was the Bidens were basically influence peddling. They were promising to help China open doors in the United States, help them navigate the bureaucracy to where they could start buying ownership into the American energy companies and buy.
Oh wow! Oh, it's getting deep, y'all. You guys understand? You guys understand what he's saying? We don't. One thing too, I don't want to do, and I don't want us to do. Obviously, these people aren't large supporters. Why did they do that? Large supporters of Joe Biden. We'll get back to it.
Or what?
Oh my gosh, but obviously, like I was saying, I'll fix this real quick, guys. But as I was saying, oh my gosh, Biden climate change, like, bro, what? Why is it moving? Come on now. No, I'll leave it here. Yeah, but what I was saying is we don't want to be too biased on this. As you guys know, this is Fox News. Obviously, they don't like Biden and everything like that. So we don't want to dive too deep into it. We just want to get into the facts and the nitty gritty and not, have too much of a biased opinion. But it seems like what they're kind of trying to push this on, on the Biden family and the Biden administration is that, this money was really more of a funnel for China to finally be able to enter American markets that they wouldn't have been able to enter. They're saying that's why there wasn't, much names involved or anything like that. That's why he said there's these energy companies that we can't find and everything like that. So these are pretty big accusations, especially considering, the type of state that we're in with our relationship that we have with China right now. Let's see.
What does Bargain Hunt have in store for
these
your
ads?
grocery list? Get in store to find what amazing brands are waiting for you.
All right.
Let's bring in House Oversight
So-
Committee Chairman.
Business deals set up in just a 60-day period after Joe Biden left the vice presidency. This is something that Joe Biden was actively involved in throughout the last year of his vice presidency. We've had several people come in and say that. In fact, even some
See,
of
they're
the
making that
transfers
connection
to that
from
Robinson
Biden
Walker
to
company
China.
happened during 2015 and 2016, a time when Joe Biden was very much vice president of the United States.
So, Mr. Chairman, you and I were speaking in the green room prior to you coming on here. You suggested that maybe this was Joe Biden thinking that he probably wasn't going to run for office again, the tragedy of his son Beau dying in 2015 still weighing heavy on his heart. Was this the family setting up business for post-vice presidency?
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people have told us that were involved with these early dealings. Remember, most of these dealings ended up bad because the president's son got on a drug problem and, a lot of things changed in his life. But during 2015 and 2016, when Joe Biden decided he wasn't going to seek the presidency, Hillary Clinton was running, I think just about every American thought that Hillary Clinton would be elected president. So at Joe Biden's age, the chances of him ever returning to public office were about zero. So he was doing what a lot of people would do. They were setting up their business
I
to
mean,
where they can
that
capitalize
makes
on the
sense.
private
That's
sector.
legitimate.
Now, the problem is Joe Biden became president, and he's not been truthful with the American people. He said, well, he didn't have any knowledge of any of this. Why don't they come clean about what they were doing? And, the Biden Center for Diplomacy, we have a lot of questions about that. That was, primarily funded with money coming from China. There's just a...
Because, I mean, guys, think about it, too. If you're running for, let's say Joe's trying to run for president next year, or he's trying to get his approval rating up right now, receiving money from China when China was like one of our number one enemies, it's not going to be a good look. But if you're just some, ex-president living far off, then maybe people won't care.
A lot of money that's gone from China to the Biden family in various different interests and through various different LLCs. That's what our investigation's about. These bank records on Rob Walker, this is the first of at least a dozen trails of money that we're tracing that went from China to the Biden family.
Okay, so Hunter Biden's legal team, as you well know, has dismissed this memo from your committee, saying, here we go again, as Rep. Comer takes something old and tries to make it new by wrapping it in a wild and baseless right-wing conspiracy, they're calling it. What is your response to their legal team?
Well, they've continuously changed their story. Just a few months ago, when I announced the investigation after the House flipped, they said there was nothing to the laptop, that it was complete Russian disinformation. So they've denied the existence of these payments directly to the Biden family all the way until the day that we actually produced bank records. I don't think the White House ever thought that I would get my hands on those bank records, and I've got some bad news.
He's like the Biden family's worst enemy. They like, James Comer.
This influence peddling scheme for several months now. I've been chairman of this committee for 2 months, had subpoena authority for 2 months, and now you're going to start seeing information come in, and I don't think it's going to be very good for the Bidens. I don't think they've been truthful about this from the very beginning, and they're trying to backpedal now, and I just don't think it's going to work.
So that begs the big question, and my colleague Bill Hemmer alluded to this with you when you were on with him earlier this week. He said you've been looking into this for an awfully long time, and so far there's no concrete evidence of wrongdoing. Do you think that will change as the investigation progresses?
I've been chairman of this committee for 2 months. Mm-hmm. I know I saw somebody on Fox said, well, they've been investigating Joe Biden for 5 years. Republicans have only been in charge of the House of Representatives for 2 months. So I've had subpoena power for 2 months. We've already got more information in than I think anyone that conducted an investigation of Biden before has.
Not a good look for the Biden family.
Authority. So they didn't have the ability to get bank records. They've talked to people, they've talked to whistleblowers, but they never had actual evidence. Mm-hmm. We're getting evidence in, and the president's story does not add up. And from what people tell us, there were other ways that they were doing things for Joe Biden. Every single person that we've spoken with that was involved with the Biden family influence peddling has said Joe Biden was very involved in the family business.
Real quick, a follow-up. Maybe this is a silly question, but when it comes to that fourth unknown Biden family,
it's really coming on Joe.
I mean, have you asked the bank that you subpoenaed for those records? Is it possible that that went through without a full name on it? I don't think I would be able to get that done. I mean, don't you need to?
I was wondering that too. Like, how did this really get through without like I can't just go into like put in Bowens on like a check and they'd be like, all right, that's enough. Just last name only. That is weird.
2 names on the record?
Maybe it's a Chinese bank thing. I don't know, but like it is weird.
Have you asked the bank?
We're looking into that as we speak. We're examining, my staff right now examining the bank violations, which is a separate thing that Treasury has been blocking us, that we now have access to. And that's the difference, another difference in this investigation. We have evidence that will allow us to get more evidence. So we have proof now, because one of the things that the Biden lawyers were trying to do to prevent us from having access to these bank records, we're saying, well, this is just a goose chase. They're just fishing. There's no legitimate purpose for this investigation. There's a money trail from China to the Bidens, and that's going to allow us to get more bank records.
All right. Well, we will see what else develops throughout.
Not looking good for the Bidens. Gotta say, it's definitely not looking too hot for the Bidens. So, I want to know what you guys think about this and everything. Do you guys, obviously, this Fox News does not like Biden. So, if we were to be on another news source, they would definitely say different things and everything like that. But let's just get down into the facts. And the facts is that the Biden family did receive $1 million. Somehow there wasn't a last name that had to be, there was only a last name that, was needed for this check to clear. They can't find the energy industries that this money is necessarily going towards. And there is apparently a history of lots of, they said dozens of transactions between the Biden family and Chinese, banks and businesses and things of that nature, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that, I don't want there to become this whole narrative that, Chinese people are like our enemy or that they're evil or anything. Obviously, if you think about it from a national standpoint, yes, China is our enemy. They're our rival in a way, you could say. But you know what I'm saying? In the end, Chinese people over in China, well, yeah, obviously that's where Chinese people come. They're people just like us. And a lot of times they don't have a lot of control in the things that their government do. The same way that we don't have a lot of control in the things that our government does. So I don't want it to be this type of narrative where it's like, oh, well, if you're doing business in China, you must be doing something wrong. I think that would be a kind of ignorant place to have. But I can say that with China being such our rival and Joe Biden being the leader of our executive power, it's not a good look at all. Especially seeing this money is going to Hunter Biden, who, correct me if I'm wrong, is the guy who I saw, with like strippers and like, like I saw a video of him in a hotel room. I was like, what is this? Like, I was like, is this Girls Gone Wild? What is this? So why anybody would want to be funding him money anyways that's a red flag in itself. So I want to know where you guys are. Do you guys feel like they're just kind of using this to kind of, get Biden's rating down and help out the Republicans as the presidency is coming up? And, he's just doing business in China, which is fine. Or do you guys think that the Biden administration is hiding a lot? It seems strange that they're not very able to expel or, very lucidly present why these funds were, provided to the family and everything like that. It's kind of like why are they hiding in the shadows? If you're hiding, then you must have something to hide type of thing. So let me know what you guys think about that and everything. We're definitely going to get into the next topic, but if you enjoy this, definitely let me know how you feel about it. Like, comment, subscribe, and everything like that to help the channel grow for sure. And I'm going to grab a little bit of water before we get into our next topic, people.